This year, the Lord is calling us to listen to Him attentively. For what He has for us is not of evil, but of good. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are doing good and Happy New Year. So, today we'll be reading, I will paraphrase the story of Lot and his daughter a little bit, and we will go to the message. So I was reading the story of Lot and his daughter, and the question in my head as I was reading it was, Lord, why did Lot's daughter slept with him in order to have kids? Like, why didn't Lot go back to his uncle Abraham, so to where people are, so that he can they can have husbands? And the Lord told me read. And as I was reading, first in Genesis 13, verse 10, it says that Lot chose Sodom and Gomorrah. And I was asking myself why. He chose that because already Lot, as we know that Lot's wife, she was so materialist that when they were fleeing, she turned her head when the angels told them not to turn. She turned because her heart was in her stuff, not in her safety. And that's when she turned into a pillar of salt. So I was like, why? And it showed me that Lot also, he had a heart that was materialist. That's why in the first place, he chose a city. He chose Sodom and Gomorrah because it was a beautiful city. It had Today we will say that it had lights, it had clubs, it had everything. And it shows us in Genesis 18, verse 16 to 31, verse 16 to 31, that the angels came to earth in the angels came in the mission of destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. As they were passing to where Abraham was living, Abraham called them in and gave them food and gave them water. And that's when they told Abraham what was happening, what they were going to do. And Abraham began to argue with God. He says to God, what if there was 50 people? Would you still destroy the city? The Lord said, no. But what if there was 10 people? The Lord said, in the sake of those 10 people, I will not destroy the city. So going forward, the angels arrived to Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot perceived them. Lot saw them and called them in his house and gave them something to eat and something to drink. That was the good things that Lot did. But and then the angels also proceed to tell him what was happening. And also the Bible said because of the sake of his uncle Abraham, because of the sake of his uncle Abraham. Going forward in Genesis 19, 15, it talks about how the angels actually said to Lot, hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. Instead of Lot hearing out, he began to hesitate. He began to run around. Maybe he was picking up stuff, materialist stuff. He was trying to take this, and thinking, what of my house that I just built? What of all the riches that I just have here? So he was so hesitant, to even run. That the angels in verse 16, they say that the man grabbed his hand and the hands of his daughter and his wife to bring him out of the city in the safely place before they destroy the place. And the angels told him in verse 17, flee to the mountains, and flee to the mountains where you will not be swept away. And Lot said, no, my Lord, I don't want to flee in the mountains because I fear that I will be swept away. So let me just flee in this little village called Zoar. And the angels were like, okay. The men were like, okay, you can go there. And he went to Zoar. But here it tells us that Lot did not listen. He did not listen. he did not listen because the angel said, the man, it says in verse 17, I will read, flee for your life. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept. And even his wife did not listen because they said, don't look back. But Lot was too focused on the things of the world, was too focused. If I flee to the mountain, I will have nothing. So let me go to this little village. And they even spared the village because of him. You know, this village was called Zoar. And then going forward, we see that Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt because she looked back when the angel said, do not look back. And then it says in verse 27, early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and saw dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from the furnace. So now Sodom and Gomorrah was all already burnt. So I was like, Lord, so if Lot actually fled to the mountains where the angels told him to flee, I would say where God told him to flee, he would have not ended up in that mountain where he went, because Zoar, the village that he went, was so bad that he had to go to the mountains. The people did not like him. He had to go to the mountain and live by himself with his daughters. And that's when his daughters I would say, took advantage of him because they gave him wine. They made him drunk in order to sleep with him and have kids with him. Abomination. You know, so if Lot would have listened to the Lord, if Lot would have not been so focused on the thing of the word, because the Lord is saying here, am I I'm a just God. I'm not a God that will save you from the fire and send you to the fire. So the Lord was telling him, go to the mountain. But he was too focused on the thing of the word. He was too focused on other stuff. He was too focused on how am I going to live. He was too focused on what am I going to drink. He was too focused on what am I going to do in the mountains. He was too focused on that because his heart also, it's already showing us that he was materialist. He liked the things, he liked material stuff. That he did not listen to the Lord, and he did not trust the Lord enough to go to the mountains. He said, if I go there, I will die. Will Lord, is the Lord going to save you from the fire and send you to the fire? No, the Lord cannot save you from the fire and send you to the fire. When the Lord saves, it is period. When the Lord saves, he saves you from everything. You know, he couldn't save Lot from this fire and send him to the mountain where he would be burned. No, he was sending him in a safely place, because it says here, early morning Abraham went in that same mountain and looked down to Sodom and Gomorrah, which means Abraham was on the mountain. Maybe it was that mountain that Lot, yes, it was that mountain that the Lord actually sent Lot to go to. So if Lot would have listened to the Lord, he would have been on that mountain, and his uncle would have found him and bring his children to a good place where they will find husbands. But Lot was just so carried about himself that he did not listen to the God that was telling him, that was talking to him. The Lord is telling us today, as we are working, let's listen to him. As you walk, listen to the Lord, because he will not send you to a dangerous place. He will not send you in a place where you will be swallowed. He is so merciful that by his mercies we are not consumed. So I'm here to encourage